CM Punk retains his Real World Championship by defeating absolute Ricky Starks on AEW Collision last night, but Starks has officially turned heel by attacking WWE Hall of Famer Ricky the Dragon Steamboat after the match. Speaking of CM Punk, he has been challenged to a match at AEW All In at London's Wembley Stadium by none other than his longtime fierce rival Samoa Joe. FTR successfully defended their AEW World Tag Team Championships last night at Collision, and they also threw out the challenge for All In at Wembley Stadium in London, challenging none other than the Young Bucks. The AEW World Trios Championships will be on the line next week as CMFTR face off against the House of Black. KRIS Statlander retained the TBS Championship last night on Collision. Max now supports live streaming, possibly paving the way for streaming upcoming future AEW pay-per-view events, and CMFTR paid tribute to Dennis CONDREY. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off with the Real World Championship last night on AEW Collision. Of course, a lot of people were talking about SummerSlam last night. The event went head-to-head, or Collision went head-to-head with WWE's biggest premium live event of the summer. And CM Punk has successfully defended his Real World Championship against absolute Ricky Starks on AEW Collision, with the latter further cementing his heel turn by attacking special guest enforcer Ricky Steamboat following the loss. After the champion finally unveiled the contents of his red bag last week in dramatic fashion and spray painted an X over the company's logo, Punk emerged victorious in an entertaining main event bout to conclude the night in Greenville, South Carolina, where he also gained some retribution for Stark's controversial victory in the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Men's Final. After in-ring official Stephen Smith was bumped to the outside down the home stretch, Ricky Steamboat broke up a pin attempt from Starks, who had his feet on the ropes, before sliding into count 3 for Punk's roll-up, allowing him to retain the title. Following the conclusion of the match, Starks would take out his frustration on Steamboat, whipping the WWE Hall of Famer with his own bout before scurrying away when Punk ran him off with a steel chair. As I mentioned earlier on in the evening, there was a big challenge laid out to CM Punk, but what are your thoughts on the main event? What are your thoughts on CM Punk retaining his Real World Championship? What are your thoughts on absolute Ricky Starks officially becoming a heel and whipping Ricky the Dragon Steamboat? And is there a possibility that Steamboat could get even more physical moving forward? Could we see the Dragon compete in a wrestling match in AEW? He did compete in one last year. Is it possible? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about that. Now, it was a big night for CM Punk because the challenge has been officially laid out. We are getting CM Punk versus Samoa Joe and another chapter of the rivalry, possibly at Wembley Stadium in London. CM Punk may have found a worthy opponent for this month's AEW All In event, with longtime rival Samoa Joe officially laying down the challenge on Saturday night's AEW Collision broadcast from Greenville, South Carolina. Following a record-quick victory over Serpentico, the current Ring of Honor World Television Champion took the microphone and addressed his first ever loss to Punk a couple of weeks ago on AEW Collision. Joe would claim that a roll-up is not good enough for the lengthy history between the pair, dating back almost 2 decades, with his belief that he and Punk should finally settle the score with the eyes of the world watching them at the iconic Wembley Stadium. He said, and I quote, "A roll-up is not good enough for our legacy," and challenged Punk to a match at the big event later on this month, possibly in front of 80,000 fans in London over here in the United Kingdom. Of course, Punk hasn't officially accepted the challenge just yet. Joe said he's got a week to answer, and if Punk makes him wait the full week until Collision this time around, he's going to force Punk to accept his challenge. Will he do that next week on AEW Collision? We'll have to wait and see and find out. But what are your thoughts on Samoa Joe versus CM Punk once again, this time in front of near 80,000 fans at Wembley Stadium? What are your thoughts on that match? Now, FTR retained their AEW World Tag Team Championships last night, and they've also called out the Young Bucks for a huge rubber match at All In after successfully defending their AEW World Tag Team titles for a 3rd straight week, defeating the duo of Brian Cage and Big Bill on the August 5th edition of AEW Collision. after getting past Bullet Club Gold in a grueling 58-minute match a fortnight ago, a 2 out of 3 falls match that was, and defeating the entertaining team of Adam Cole and MJF last Saturday night, the two-time title holders continued their reign with a hard-fought pinfall victory. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler not only had to overcome the gigantic pair of opposite them, but also the distractions from the Mogul Embassy's manager Prince Nana at ringside. The heels took control early in the bout before Big Bill opted to hit the grid and taunt the fans out on the outside with Wheeler on the floor. Cage hit a huge suplex from the outside of the ring back into the canvas on Wheeler for a 2 count before Big Bill evaded a roll-up attempt to land a huge lariat and maintain control. With the 3 men down, the crowd came unglued as Wheeler got the hot tag to his partner Harwood, and moments later FTR hit a top rope double team move for a near fall. Cage and Big Bill regained momentum with stereo jackhammer and clothesline combinations before the machine hit a massive tope con hilo on the outside to both champions. Unfortunately though for the challengers, FTR proved their ring savvy and finished the job hitting the shatter machine for the 3 count. After the victory though, FTR challenged the Young Bucks to a rubber match for AEW All In on August 27, with Howard claiming a decisive victory will further cement their legacy as the greatest tag team in professional wrestling history. Nick and Matt Jackson announced on Friday's edition of AEW Rampage that they would be setting their sights on the tag team division once again, with a clash against the Hardy Boys scheduled for the August 9th edition of AEW Dynamite. With Saturday's show going head-to-head with WWE SummerSlam, AEW made the decision to open Collision with one of their most reliable acts, and FTR certainly did not disappoint, retaining their titles and moving towards a blockbuster showdown with their longtime rivals at Wembley Stadium. What are your thoughts on FTR facing off against the Young Bucks once again, this time on the biggest stage possible? Now, speaking of CM Punk and FTR, possibly they could be adding more gold to their faction. Of course, FTR are the World Tag Team Champions, CM Punk is the real World Champion, and they're looking to add more gold because AEW Tag Team Champions FTR and CM Punk will attempt to win the Trios titles as they challenge the House of Black on next Saturday's AEW Collision. The match was announced after Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King successfully defended their titles against Action Andretti, Lee Johnson, and Darius Martin on Saturday's show. Earlier on in the evening, as I mentioned, FTR successfully defended their AEW Tag Team titles against Big Bill and Brian Cage, while Punk defeated Ricky Starks to keep his real world title to end the show. Certainly a big match set for next week. Is it possible? Is it possible that CMFTR are going to win the championship? Is it possible that they could add more gold to their faction? Or is this where Samoa Joe will make sure that Punk accepts his challenge after Punk seemingly won't accept or certainly won't respond to Samoa Joe? Is this where the feud is going to pick up pace as we head and get closer to Wembley later on this month? KRIS Statlander is still the AEW TBS champion after retaining her title last night on AEW Collision. KRIS Statlander has continued her dominant run since returning from a serious knee injury, retaining her TBS championship against experienced campaigner Mercedes Martinez on the August 5th episode of AEW Collision. The 27-year-old hasn't missed a beat since coming back at Double or Nothing earlier this year, successfully defending her title against the likes of Anna Jay and Taya Valkyrie, and becoming a valuable addition to the AEW women's roster. Martinez gained control early on in the bout with a series of brutal strikes and holds. The hard-hitting offense wasn't limited to Martinez, however, with the champ hitting back with a flurry of her own punches and elbows to create some distance before hitting a stiff backbreaker on the outside. Statlander took to the top rope but was immediately shut down by the challenger, who hit a devastating German suplex for a 2 count. But Statlander quickly bounced back and produced a picture-perfect driver for a 2 count of her own. Down the home stretch, Martinez rolled up Statlander and nearly escaped with the title, but it was the TBS champion who bounced back with a roll-up of her own to secure the victory. After the match, Martinez took out her frustrations following the defeat before Diamante came out seemingly to make the save, but it was all a ruse, and the Ring of Honor star turned heel, aligning with Martinez before the pair were ran off by Willow Nightingale, possibly setting up a tag team match in the near future. Now, there's been a lot of talk, hasn't there, about AEW programming and the revamped Max streaming service, the possibility of AEW adding a more regular pay-per-view calendar, possibly moving to a model like WWE and WCW and Impact Wrestling of having a pay-per-view event or a special event every single month. Now, it's no longer HBO, it's now simply Max, and it appears Max is now able to broadcast live streaming as opposed to the solely video-on-demand platform that it has been. according to Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav in an earnings call that was transcribed by Seeking Alpha. The streaming platform now, quote, has full capability to deliver live programming, end quote, with the CEO hinting that a further announcement will be made at some point in time. Of course, this is very good news for All Elite Wrestling, which has been broadcast on WBD's Bleacher Report live platform for the entirety of its existence. Outside of the Honor Club platform of its sibling promotion Ring of Honor, AEW currently doesn't have a streaming platform, but Zaslav's words bode well for the possibility of AEW joining promotions like WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling and the Cyberfight promotions and being able to live stream events outside of Bleacher Report Live and traditional pay-per-view. The company has had an international broadcast streaming deal with Fight TV. AEW's reality show, AEW All Access, is currently the only AEW product on Max as of this recording, but of course, there could be more content added in the future. AEW is headed towards a huge weekend at the end of August with All In at Wembley Stadium, which is set to host upwards of 70,000 fans in the biggest non-WWE wrestling event of the 21st century. The following weekend, AEW is presenting their annual All Out pay-per-view from Chicago, Illinois United Center, and some fans are hoping for there to be streaming or bundle options to buffer the high expensive cost of two pay-per-views. There is currently no word on how All In will be broadcast on August 27. It must be said, from my own experience, I've already received an email from Fight TV saying that I can have AEW All In as well as AEW All Out for 20% off because I'm an AEW Plus subscriber. So maybe that's what they might do in the US. Of course, that's what they're doing over here in the UK, but that's just for right now. Finally, CMFTR paid tribute to wrestling legend Dennis Condrey last night at AEW Collision. AEW stars CM Punk and FTR paid tribute to a wrestling legend after Saturday's August 5th edition of AEW Collision went off the air. In the main event of the show, as I mentioned, CM Punk faced off against Ricky Starks in a real AEW World title match. Punk ultimately won this bout, which was officiated by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. After the camera stopped rolling, Punk, Dax Howard, and Cash Wheeler paid tribute to another wrestling veteran, bringing Dennis Condrey of the Midnight Express to the ring. Punk stated that without Ricky Steamboat, there would be no CM Punk, and without Dennis Condrey, there would be no FTR. In a heart-warming moment, which you can watch on social media or on AEW's YouTube channel, Condrey embraced Punk before Howard and Wheeler explained how much of an influence he had on their careers. Condrey eventually took to the mic to state that FTR are the best team in the world, noting that they have kept the Midnight Express alive with their music. He also gave a shout-out to his wife, noting that she has done a hell of a job putting up with him for 35 years. AEW has uploaded the entire 10-minute segment to YouTube, which can be seen on their channel. So big up to everyone involved in that. Great to see respect of Midnight Express and just the history and the legend of professional wrestling, particularly when it comes to tag teams as well. But there you go, guys. This is the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.